Come on down. Name and address for the record into the microphone, if you will.
Don Delirious, 275 North Alder. Dear Ben and City Council members, Operation Coquille.
Ben
Ben. And.
and.
Dear Ben and City Council members.
And.
Andy.
Operation Coquille is writing to express thanks for the city's generous support of the Coquille Valley Garden Tour, which brings visitors into Coquille for this one-day event. The 2015 tour was attended by 112 participants, of which approximately 1/3 were from outside of the Coquille Valley. There were 7 stops on the tour, in addition to other stops such as the farmers market, where raffles were being held. The raffles attracted participants to see other places of interest in Coquille. The tour was advertised along Oregon's I-5 corridor and read press releases that reached east to Roseburg and north to Reedsport. Advertisements were placed in newspapers, the Oregon Calendar of Events on Facebook, and with the State Federation of Garden Clubs. Posters were placed in Bandon, Roseburg, Gold Beach, Port Orford, Coos Bay, Lakeside, Reedsport, and Florence. The garden tour leadership will be doing some more fundraisings in this coming year and more community events. They're building a website and they have an active Facebook page. We sincerely appreciate the city's generous grants which support the vitality and beauty of our community. And in the spirit of statistics, this is a letter from the farmers market. Dear Ben and the city council members. Most people, when they get old, they have to put them on. I gotta take them off. Operation Coquille is writing to express thanks for the city's generous support of the 2015 Coquille Valley's Farmers Market in granting the market access to space for a nominal fee. And I am giving you the status report. The 2015 Farmers Market was attended by 5,518 customers, many of whom were out-of-town visitors. I know I have a little clicker and I counted everybody. The gross vendor income was $18,293. I know I made him tell me. The market had an average of 9 vendors each week. The consignment table was a unique and successful feature of the farmers market. This is where local growers that don't have enough for a booth can participate for a fee. It brought in about $900 gross income. So these are thank you letters for city council. Who do I give these to? And I was also handed apparently some begging things here. What's the protocol for begging things? There you go. There's some begging things. Bye.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to, Jean, did you need to say anything besides what we already covered?
No, that was me.
All right, very good. Thank you, Jean. Suzanne Swan.
I just want to say thank you about the whistle. Do I have to go all the way there?
No, I think we
Okay.
can count that. That'll be fine.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
I like Trini.
And Kathy Simonetti, come on down.
Kathy Simonetti, Coquille Chamber of Commerce. Just kind of bring you a little up to date on the chamber. We have started off 2016, I think, with a bang. We have slotted on our calendars for May 2017 to have Culpeper and Merriweather Circus come to town. talk to Ben about that. We'll give you something in writing as we get a little further on our contract with them. This month we'll start working on our Gay 90s. The 27th, Saturday the 27th, we will have our Chocolate Fantasy coming up. We went to the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, and it was phenomenal. Hopefully ours will be as large as theirs someday and as eventful. The highlight of that evening for me was I got to meet the chief of the Coquille tribe. I thought it was just awesome. He's a very fantastic person, excellent speaker also. We also have, we're starting an emergency or CERT program, a chapter here in Coquille. And working with a CERT program on developing a chapter here in Coquille. We're going to start CERT classes February 16th from 6 p.m. to 8:30. It's an 8-week class. It will be held here in the City Council chambers. Again, that's starting February the 16th from 6 to 8:30. And it is an 8-week class. If anybody's interested in signing up, we'll have you can call the chamber, we'll let you know, or you can contact me at the store, or Ben Marchette has some information on it also. We'll have posters we'll be putting up pretty soon. The chamber also has a seat on the transient lodging tax committee, and those meetings are going to start again in March, and hopefully we'll get that to pass this year. Ben did a presentation last month, in the month of January, to our chamber meeting, and we had a great response to Ben's presentation on the underground electrical, and we hope that the City Council will keep this project on the work table as we look forward to possible ways of making this happen, as we believe that this is the first step to revitalizing our downtown. So we hope that you don't put it on the back burner, that it stays to the front, and will hopefully make the agenda at some point. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Kathy. Janet Reed, do you want to talk?
No.
All right, always good to keep your options open.
Yeah.
All right, and now we've got Martha Greger, who's with the 15 Now campaign that wants to raise the minimum wage. And there's so much talk about the bills in the legislature and this and that, and I know I've heard people for it and against it, and from all sorts of different opinions on the subject. And since we had a light agenda, I thought it'd be nice to give her about 15 minutes to make a presentation on this, and then field any questions anybody on the council may have. I know we've heard some positives and negatives from local business people, and I just thought it'd be nice to hear some information. So come on down.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I really appreciate it. I have a handout. My computer was not feeling like working with that system, so I don't have it on a PowerPoint, but this should be clear, and I have it on the document viewer.
Wait,
If you could,
are we sharing? Or?
no, you could just pass this down.
Oh.
Sorry, I was a substitute teacher, so I'm just like passing things out, and yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and there actually see if anyone in the audience would like one. Yeah, so just take one and pass it around if you like. So as Mayor pointed out, I'm a member of the group called 15 Now Oregon. We're a volunteer-led organization, so we don't have many paid organizers. We have been active in the state for a couple of years now. I've been active in this movement for about a year, and I'm from the North Bend, thank you, from the North Bend, Coos Bay area, and moved back a few months ago and have been starting a chapter here in Coos Bay to advocate for raising the minimum wage to a living wage. Many economists consider a $15 minimum wage to be a living wage, which would lift one individual and one child out of poverty. I know it sounds like a huge jump, so that's why I'm trying to get out and talk about this issue. It's going to be phased in over 3 years. That's what our ballot measure is proposing. You probably have got some counter proposals from the governor and from other groups that are proposing $13.50 for rural areas, and now $14.42 for Portland metro areas, a minimum wage. So there's some discussion about maybe rural areas should be, have a lower minimum wage than the metro areas, but I would like to make the case that we need it just as much here in rural area as we would in the Portland area. So I'm going to go through a little bit of thinking about whether or not Oregon's economy is working. I would argue that it's not, because we now have poverty that is higher now than during the Great Recession. And there we go, Zoom. Okay. And many of these people are working. And if I have this on the projector, you can see that Coos County's here with very high poverty as well as high rates of government assistance. And 71% of children of working poor families have a parent that is working, and about half of our government assistance is going to people who are working. So these people are in many cases working 40 hours a week or more, working multiple jobs. They're not able to support themselves. We're not just talking about minimum wage workers, we're also talking about anyone who makes less than $15 an hour. So preschool teachers, janitors, most people in retail and in food service are making less than $15 an hour. Farm laborers, of course, in the valley in particular, are making low wages too. And it's become quite common in our rural areas as well, as we've transitioned to more of a service-oriented economy, particularly on the coast. Probably all of us are aware of how radically Oregon's rural economy has changed in the past few decades. Wages have fallen and benefits have been reduced or have disappeared for many working people. There are fewer opportunities for advancement, so we have a case in which people aren't able to be as upwardly mobile as they were previous decades. So we have about the same availability of low-income, low-wage jobs, but all the benefits of those are different, and the low wage is now very low for many working adults. These minimum wage jobs are no longer just for teenagers or people in their early 20s. We've really seen a shift over the years. Back in the 1990s, only 1 in 5 minimum wage workers was making minimum wage a year after that. And now when they've sampled the general population, 1 in 3 minimum wage workers are still working for minimum wage a year after that. And the age of people who make minimum wage has also shifted upwards. So now we have 70% of minimum wage earners are 25 years old or older. And the average age is 35. So they've really become family wage jobs in a way that they weren't prior to the 70s and 80s. Jobs in rural Oregon have tended to stratify a little bit, gone for the lower end, and we still have some high wage jobs, but we kind of have a hollowed out middle class here as our economy has changed. We also have a very diverse economy here. I'm not sure the $15 minimum wage will help with all of that, with diversification, but it will help bring money into our economy through higher wages, and low-income people are more likely to spend that money in our local economy. Recently, the share of families of working poor has also risen by 27.9%, so pretty significant in the past 7 years. My concern, and I think the concern of a lot of people in the living wage movement, is that we're seeing new generations come into poverty that might not be able to get out of poverty if we don't do something to raise wages. So some of these challenges are certainly faced by Coos County workers, as well as factors that are unique to our rural areas, such as a housing shortage that we're enduring right now, lack of affordable child care, food insecurity. We're 13th in the nation for food insecurity in Oregon. That's an issue in our county as well. But I also will argue later that some of these challenges that Coos County businesses are facing will also be helped by the minimum wage raise as well. So we've seen a decline in large industries, which really help put fuel in our economic engine, and they contract out to smaller businesses, and they really help generate a lot of economic growth. So we've seen a decline in those industries, economic stagnation, and a small customer and consumer base. One small business owner who's supportive of this in Coos Bay works with families a lot. His business serves families, and he thinks that there would be a lot more families able to spend money in this area if we raise the minimum wage. And you have a lot of working families who are low income here who just don't consume very much, they don't go out to eat very much, they don't spend a lot of money. We're already paying for low minimum wage right now. You could think of it as we're subsidizing a low minimum wage. So your tax dollars are going to working families in Oregon, working families only in Oregon, so exclusive of people who are on government assistance who are not working, receive $1.8 billion in government assistance every year. So Coos County residents in particular, 27% are on food assistance, and that has increased even though unemployment has declined in Coos County and in Oregon generally, so since the recession. So we still see that these jobs that are being created are not really living wage jobs that people can support themselves on. And the poverty threshold for one individual is only a little more than $12,000, but I think many people would agree that $12,000 is certainly not enough to live off of for one person for a year or two, or anywhere in the state. So we just see that continued government assistance has become really common, kind of chronic in a way, and we're already paying for that just through the system of social services when really people could be receiving those wages, they could be earning them for their labor and not have to be dependent on these services. We have a housing shortage in rural Oregon. The vacancy rate in Coos County is less than 3%. And we just have a real shortage of affordable housing here, so that's a challenge that a lot of low-income earners are facing right now. We just don't have a diverse rental market. In the urban market, you have a lot of developers who are contributing time and energy to large rental projects, and we don't have that here. We also don't have a robust housing authority that has a large budget. And some businesses have recognized that this is a really significant issue. So, for example, in Tillamook County, the Tillamook Cheese Factory contributed $50,000 of the $90,000 budget of that county's housing task force because there was so little housing available for their workers, and they thought it, as this is a quote, absolutely threatens the viability, end quote, of their company. So they actually contributed most of the budget for their housing authority, and the rest was covered by grants, just to provide housing in that rural county because it was such a crisis. And we're kind of in a crisis too. I mean, it's not as quite as dramatic as Tillamook County, but we have, for low-income earners, they have a really hard time finding smaller apartments in Coos County, and then being able to afford them because a one-bedroom apartment costs $550 if you're lucky, and that's a week and a half worth of pay if you're a low-income earner. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the lack of affordable childcare, but that's an issue too. It's extremely expensive. It costs more for childcare in Coos County than it does to attend one of Oregon's public universities. So there's just not a lot of availability here either. So that's a challenge the low-income earners are facing in rural areas, more so than in urban areas. So what are the challenges faced by businesses in Coos County? So we have a decline in larger industries that fueled our economy. We have some economic stagnation, and we have a consumer base that really does not have the spending power that we could envision for that consumer base. Not to put too fine a point on it, there's a picture of downtown Coquille, but if we also have a lot of corporations who are operating in Coos County. They can absolutely afford to pay a higher minimum wage, a living wage, and that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that are going to be coming into the pockets of Coos County workers that they can then spend locally. And economists have really found that it's low-wage earners that spend their money locally because they're spending it directly on food, on housing, on transportation, and they're more likely to, change their habits in terms of going out to eat more, buying more groceries, things like that. Those are the first things that they do. Not going online and buying a lot of luxury goods, for example. So you can envision that we have actually a lot of these large corporations in Coos County, and that is going to have a measurable impact on our local economy because those people are going to be making a lot more money who work there. I think the big concern for everyone, so I'm very interested in questions that people have about this, is what will it do to small businesses? We have data from the past. So this is a 42% minimum wage increase here in 89 to 91, which stays in over 3 years. And there was no measurable effect on the health and growth of small businesses here. This is a 62% increase that we're proposing. So this is a larger increase. Economists predict that prices will need to go up by about 1%. And so that's not going to, some people say, well, then prices go up, what's the difference? Well, prices are already going up, and they will need to go up a little bit for businesses to compensate with this. but they're not gonna go up to the point where, you know, a gallon of milk costs $9 or something like that. They're gonna go up in a more reasonable way that people will be able to absorb. So this is showing how small businesses are hurt more by recessions than by wage increases. They can be benefited by wage increases because they'll have customers who can spend more money at their establishments too. So low-wage workers, I've already said, they spend a lot of their wages. The latest studies from UC Berkeley and UCLA are saying that that will create an additional $1.12 of spending money for each extra dollar paid to a low-wage worker in our economy, because they really think this is going to be an economic boost. So that's what economists are saying right now. There's also the issue of businesses, for example, restaurants that are basically in a pattern where they're constantly having to train people because turnover is such an issue. So you're going to have lower turnover because people are able to stay at one job and maybe able to work one job instead of several. They'll be more dedicated and productive employees, healthier and happier, be able to better provide for their families. So higher wages have been proven to decrease turnover. I think there's a lot of businesses who really will see benefits from that because they'll be training people so frequently. There's a recent report out from the UC Cornell School of Hospitality, and they did a 2015, they did a study last year of minimum wage increases and restaurants, and they found that the minimum wage increases did not decrease demand or profitability to the extent that restaurants closed or hired fewer people. In fact, they found that minimum wage increases reduced turnover and increased employee productivity. So restaurant sales have also been on the rise. Projected growth last year, I haven't heard if this was confirmed in Oregon, was restaurant sales went up by 3.2% in our state. So restaurants are doing well in general in our state, and again, this is something about retaining employees, people who really want to work for those businesses, but maybe feel the pressure of needing to find a job that pays a higher wage. No proven impact on job growth. I haven't been able to get statistics on how many low-wage workers work more than one job, but anecdotally it's pretty significant. A lot of the low-wage workers that I know work more than one job. They might not have to do that if we raise the minimum wage, so that will free up some jobs for other people. There's also just been no proven impact or correlation between raising the minimum wage and growth of jobs in any area like rural or metro. So we don't think that this is going to be creating the catastrophic changes in employment that some people are really concerned about. So why 15? Well, $15 an hour, if we're going to significantly raise the minimum wage, we should do it right, and we should really make it a living wage. So over 200 economists in the U.S. have signed a letter to the president saying that they think that $15 an hour is the right number. It's really the amount, if you think about $30,000 a year, so it's really going to pull somebody out of poverty. They'll be able to support themselves and possibly one child, and they'll be able to, for example, go back to school. They'll have money they can possibly save. This is really the wage that will pull people out of that situation of chronic working poverty and be able to give them the opportunities that the American dream has promised for so long to so many people. Rural areas do have unique challenges, so the group that I am a part of, we're very against this idea that rural areas need lower minimum wages. Of course, there are different employment patterns in rural areas, but there's also unique challenges to those areas that are difficult for low-income earners. So we would argue that the same $15 living wage is applicable and beneficial to those areas too. This is the ballot language, so it will be phased in over 3 years to 2019. And it's going to be on the November 2016 ballot. Looks like we're on track to get all our signatures for it to be on there. So we will we'll have enough signatures by July 1st. It's about 120,000. And it will be on the ballot during that presidential year. Hopefully there'll be a voter turnout for that. I would love to take any of your questions. This is the first time I've really presented about this in this area. We're hoping to do some a forum or two this summer to kind of get out the word about this for people who might be on the fence, and I've been canvassing with some people who are interested in it and are supportive of it, but I'm very curious like what kind of questions people would have in this area about it, so I'd like to just open it up to any questions that folks might have.
All right, that's
At
you,
this
you get the
time.
lines. All right, well, as far as question and answer time, counselors can, and if you want to talk to people afterwards, that's.
Okay,
just-
all right.
We've got a process here. I appreciate you wanting to answer questions.
Okay.
Does anybody, I mean, almost 50 minutes, a little bit longer, but it was
Oh,
good,
sorry,
don't go
okay.
on time. Lots of information to take in. I don't know if anybody has any questions right now, but obviously it's
Or
council.
concerns? That's fine too.
Yes, Councilor Heaton.
Yes, I have a concern.
Okay.
I am on a fixed income. I started working at 14 for 45 cents an hour as a soda jerk. I am concerned that this will raise prices, and my fixed income now, luckily it's not 45 cents an hour, would be losing ground. So what kind of answer do you have to that?
Yeah, well, that is a concern. I think the benefits cliff is not going to be as dramatic as people are concerned about, because people have been working on that and seeing that the prices are not going to go up as significantly as I think people are really worried about, because 1% is not that significant for most food items, for example. Also, something to keep in mind is the state of Oregon is going to be getting a lot of more income tax revenue and saving money on social services from this, hundreds of millions of dollars. So I do think that that's an issue that will have to be worked out during the phase-in, but the state of Oregon is going to have the money to do something about that, for sure.
But that money to the state of Oregon is not going to help me.
Well, hopefully, because I mean, this is something we all have to continue to advocate for, right? Like the ballot measure is by nature pretty straightforward and simple in a way. I mean, this is just phasing in a minimum wage over 3 years. And so during that process, it will be the duty of legislators, people in the $50 minimum wage movement, we're not going to go away. We're still listening to people and their concerns about this. And we're going to have to work on some of those issues during that time.
Any other questions for Martha? No, I think Councilor Heaton's concern is probably the biggest concern a lot of people around here are going to have. And you and I have talked about this, Martha. I think the best thing you can do is if you're going to have a wage increase, you need to take steps through the tax code, the regulatory code, to offset those expenses for businesses, so that it's not a loss for the business. You don't have the inflationary impact. You need to get that purchasing power for the workers, which is good for business. But I think, and again, the legislature needs to do its job and help some of our businesses out with some regulatory and some tax changes, because if this does happen and you have that, you've got a lot of economic potential. Well, thank you very much for your presentation then. I'm sure if anybody has questions for you, I'll stick around for after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Did Mr. Swan have something to say?
No.
All right.
Okay, I'm happy to talk to people afterwards too, and I also brought the ballot petition if you want to sign. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Let's move on to agenda item 8, accepting quotes for library pre-design report and design. Ann? I mean, it's all in the packet, but if you want to summarize. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
We published a request for quotes in Portland Commerce publication and the local paper, and received 3 packets from companies listing their qualifications. I went through those, everybody got copies of those quotes, and I went through them and made a short and dirty analysis, comparing all of them on one page. The points that we asked to be covered in the RFQ, and those are the ones that we got. That's the information they gave us on that summary that you have in your packet.
All right. So is there a motion to accept the quotes?
I move that we accept all quotes.
Okay, we got like a trifecta there. I heard Heaton a lot of stuff, so Councilor Heaton makes the motion. I'm guessing one of those 2 others will second the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Councilor Graham seconds. Any discussion beyond what we already know? Hearing none then, all those in favor of accepting the quotes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously, well, 6-0. All right, now the motion to award contract for library pre-design reporting conceptual design. All right.
I move we award project to HG Incorporated for the cost not to exceed $21,350.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Councilor Chappelle seconds. Discussion? Hearing none then. All those in favor of awarding the contract, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right then, and you said you wanted to say something about the economic redevelopment conversation downtown. Well, it's the good of the order. What do you have?
Well, I don't want to let this go. I know that we don't have some of the facts, but, you know, right now, we have a lot of businesses that do not have heat. We have businesses that do not have correct, you can't have, you know, we've talked about this before, you can't have 2 hair dryers on at a time. We have, we saw the roof go, you know, at Wayne Nelson's during the storm. And in fact, we were across the street at the carousel, and all of a sudden that wind came, and we saw the roof go up, and we saw the roof go down. And I know that that's a concern, because they're gonna have to do some things to that, and I know they're gonna be coming to urban renewal. But I know that, you know, Marcy's Place, you know, we've had some problems, that's one of the reasons that we moved out of there. I know the Stacy's had to move out. It just seems like there's a lot of things happening downtown, and I know this isn't an easy thing, but I just really think that this might be the time that we kind of think about there might be something that we need to do to kind of go forward for this, you know, to better this town. It's going to be a little hard to do, and I need to know from PB&L and everything exactly what it's going to cost and things, but I think now is a really good opportunity that we have, because there's a lot of things going on downtown that maybe would help our town, and we could do for it.
Well, Ben and I have been talking about this for some time behind the scenes, and I know as soon as we get all the hard numbers, I'll put this on the agenda for discussion about if we want to pursue it further. I know Ben's getting all the information, and I'm sure we'll have it soon.
Because I'm afraid it's so easy for us to just let it go.
Oh, I completely understand.
Because we know it's a concern, and so I really don't want to let it go.
Well, thank you. Is there anything else for the go? Ben?
Just a reminder to the council that our council retreat is scheduled for the 19th.
And I know we've got League of Oregon Cities here on the 17th, if I'm not mistaken, at the Coquille Valley Hospital.
Correct.
It's open to the public, and you know, anybody's glad to come and listen and just see what we're all up to. We're going to be talking about public safety and mental health treatment funding, in particular jail bed space at county jails, which has been such a big issue in our region of the state. And I also want to say I accepted the gracious invitation to Kathy Simonetti of the Chamber to present my State of the City address at their event on February 27th, where I'm going to outline my policy priorities for the year and where I think we need to be going. So it's been a pleasure to be there the last few years, and it's a great event. I encourage everybody to show up and support the Chamber, and they've really stepped up, and they're doing a lot more in the community, so you know, show them your support. All right then, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned at 8:14. What was that? Oh. Yeah, I heard about that. Are you keeping these, or are we putting them in the record with Renee? Thanks, Gene.